It was 3:17 a.m. when the phone shattered the silence of my cramped Chicago apartment. The kind of ring that drags you from exhausted sleep into instant dread. The caller ID flashed Mom, a name I hadn't seen light up my screen in months. Not since that disastrous Thanksgiving where I'd finally confronted her about Victor Hayes, her husband of 5 years, the slick-talking real estate developer who'd wormed his way into her life and slowly poisoned everything. I'd called him out for his manipulations, for convincing her I was the unstable one. The dramatic daughter always stirring trouble. She'd defended him, as always, choosing his side and shutting me out. So why now? In the dead of night? I answered, my voice thick with sleep and resentment. Mom, what's going on? Her response was a whisper, fragile as cracking ice. Emily, help me, please. The line crackled with her shallow breaths. I'm outside. So cold. He left me here. Then nothing. Dead air. My heart slammed against my ribs as the pieces clicked. She was at Mercy General in Gary, Indiana, about 40 miles south. But in this storm, the news had been blaring warnings all day, a brutal nor'easter barreling through the Midwest. Winds howling at 50 miles per hour. Temperatures plunging to -15 with wind chill. Roads closed. Travel bans in effect. But that whisper, it wasn't just cold she was fighting. It was terror. I didn't think. I bolted from bed, yanked on jeans and a parka, grabbed my keys, and stumbled into the gale outside. My beat-up Toyota Corolla protested as I revved it to life, wipers battling the onslaught of snow that reduced visibility to a white void. The nurse in me knew. Wait. I'm not a nurse, I'm Emily Carter, a mid-level accountant at a downtown firm, crunching numbers for corporate audits. The kind of job that trains you to spot patterns in chaos. But right then, all I could spot was the road's faint outline, praying I wouldn't skid into a ditch. Why hadn't I called 911? Because her voice told me she couldn't trust anyone else. Not the cops. Not the hospital staff. Only me. The drive should have taken an hour. It stretched to nearly 3. My knuckles white on the wheel. Tires slipping on black ice. Semis looming like ghosts in the rearview. I redialed her number obsessively, voicemail every time. By the time I screeched into the hospital lot, abandoned cars buried under drifts. My body was numb from tension. I sprinted to the ER entrance, boots crunching snow, and scanned the shadows. There, curled against the brick wall, barely 15 feet from the doors, a small shape half buried in white. No coat, no shoes, just a flimsy hospital gown fluttering in the wind. Mom, I dropped beside her, pulling her into my arms. She was frozen marble, lips tinted blue, eyelids fluttering weakly. Emily, you came. Her teeth chattered violently. I stripped off my parka, wrapped her in it, and hauled her toward the doors, screaming for help as they whooshed open. Nurses swarmed, wheeling her away with heated blankets and IVs, while I trailed, snow melting into puddles at my feet. How long was she out there? One asked, her eyes wide. She called me hours ago. Said someone dumped her. The staff exchanged grim looks. She was admitted earlier for a fall confusion, they said. But she vanished from her room 2 hours back. We searched inside. Who the hell would put her out in this? As they stabilized her, the bruises emerged under the lights, fresh purple fingerprints on her wrists, faded yellow blooms on her arms, a mottled patch on her collarbone. She flinched from the male doctor, eyes darting like a trapped animal. When they mentioned calling her husband, Victor, she seized my hand. No. Don't. Please. Her monitor spiked. Heart rate racing. The rage ignited then. Slow burning. transforming the hurt I'd nursed for years, her choosing him, ignoring my warnings, into something lethal. Victor had done this. The man who'd isolated her, controlled her, now tried to erase her in the snow. But why? What had pushed him to this edge? As mom, her name is Laura Carter Hayes now. But she'll always be Laura Carter to me, warmed under the blankets, color seeping back into her cheeks. The trembling didn't stop. It wasn't the cold anymore, it was bone-deep fear. The kind that hollows you out. Every shadow in the curtain, every footstep in the hall, made her grip tighter. The doctor pulled me aside. She was brought in at 9 p.m. by her husband, claimed she fell at home, seemed disoriented. No discharge papers, though. And those marks. We have to report this. Back at her bedside, I leaned in. Mom, tell me, what really happened? She averted her eyes, whispering, it doesn't matter now, but it did. You could have died out there. Please. Tears welled as she broke. You were right about Victor. From the start. He started small, criticizing my friends, my clothes, saying you were too needy, that I spoiled you. Then the money, he took over the bills to help, but soon everything was in his name. My pension from teaching elementary school for 35 years. The proceeds from selling Dad's old house. Gone. Her voice cracked. Tonight, I mentioned visiting you for your birthday. He lost it, grabbed me, said I was ungrateful, that you'd poison me against him. Dragged me to the car. Drove here in the storm. Told the nurses I was delusional. Then, he just walked out. Left me wandering the halls until I ended up outside. The confession poured out in fragments, each one stoking the fire in my chest, the gradual isolation. How his son Dylan moved in and treated her like an intruder in her own home, accidentally breaking her cherished china, mocking her forgetfulness. They think I'm a burden. Emily. Victor has power of attorney, medical, financial. I signed it after my hip surgery, thinking it was temporary. But he never let go. The betrayal hit like a gut punch. She'd been strong once. My rock after Dad's heart attack, raising me alone while grading papers late into the night. Now, reduced to this shadow, flinching at her own memories. A nurse interrupted. Mr. Hayes is here, demanding to see her. Mom panicked, trying to sit up. No. He'll be furious. He said not to cause trouble. I blocked the door. Tell him she's resting. And call security if he pushes. As the commotion echoed down the hall, Victor's booming voice insisting on his rights, I made a vow in that sterile room. This wasn't just rescue. It was war. He'd pay for every bruise, every stolen dollar, every silenced cry. But not with fists or fury. With precision. Like auditing a fraudulent ledger, exposing every hidden transaction until his empire crumbled. We left the hospital at dawn. Roads still slick with ice. Mom bundled in borrowed scrubs and my spare sweater. She stared out the window at the gray Chicago skyline approaching, silent as a ghost. My one bedroom in Wrigleyville wasn't much, stacked bookshelves from my endless night classes. A pull-out couch, but it was safe. You'll stay here, I said, guiding her to the bed. As long as you need, she protested weakly. Emily, your job, your life. Victor won't let this slide. Let him try. I'd already called out sick from work, citing a family emergency. But as she napped, fitful and murmuring, my phone lit up. Unknown number. I answered. Emily? Victor here. I hear you've got Laura. We've been frantic. His tone was polished, concerned, the perfect facade. Frantic enough to dump her in a blizzard? A pause, then smooth deflection. She wandered off while I fetched her insurance card. Her confusion. You know, dementia in the family. Bring her back. She needs her meds. No. She's staying. His voice hardened. I have legal authority. This is kidnapping. Call the cops then. I hung up, hands shaking. But the seed of revenge took root. Documentation. That's how I dismantle him. I snapped photos of her bruises with timestamps. Noted every detail in a journal app. Day 1. Mom arrived post-abandonment. Hypothermic. Visible grip marks. Then I reached out to my old college friend, Lisa, a paralegal at a nonprofit for domestic violence survivors. Get an elder law attorney ASAP, she urged. And watch your back. These types escalate when cornered. The cops arrived 30 minutes later. 2 officers looking apologetic in the doorway. Report of a vulnerable adult being held. I invited them in. Mom, huddled on the couch, whispered, I'm here by choice. Please, don't make me go back. They noted her bruises, her fear, and left after radioing it in. Victor had been informed she was voluntary. But the threats ramped up. Text from Dylan, you're screwing with the wrong family. Dad's not one to forgive. Emails from Victor with attachments, power of attorney forms in Mom's looping signature. A diagnosis of early Alzheimer's from some Dr. Ellis, his poker buddy. She's unstable. Emily. Return her before you regret it. Mom saw them and deflated. He's right. I signed everything. I'm trapped. Not anymore. We met with the lawyer, Karen Ruiz, in her cluttered loop office. She pored over the docs while Mom fidgeted. This POA looks coerced, signed during recovery. No witnesses beyond his circle. We'll challenge it with evidence of abuse. Mom hesitated. Then spilled more. He'd pinch me under the table if I spoke up at dinners. Dylan would joke about nursing homes. Hide my glasses to make me seem senile. Karen nodded. Document it all. Photos. Timelines. Witness statements. And get her old financials. We'll trace the theft. Back home. I dove in. Called Mom's old bank. Accounts drained. Pension rerouted to joint holdings. Contacted her teaching friends, most ghosted years ago. But a few remembered. Victor always answered her phone. Said she was tired. We stopped calling. One entry in my journal, pattern of isolation confirmed, friends cut off circa 2019. That night, a knock. Through the peephole, Dylan, pacing like a predator. He didn't enter, but slipped a note under the door. Bring her back or things get ugly. I photographed it. Added to the file. Mom whispered. Maybe I should go. I'm ruining you. No. He's the ruin. We're exposing him. The pressure built. A simmering tension that clawed at my sleep. Victor called my boss next. Spinning tales of my instability, hinting at embezzlement to mirror his own crimes. Emily. We need to talk, my supervisor emailed. Panic surged. But I channeled it, met with HR. Presented the police report. Turned it into ammo. He's harassing me for protecting my mom. On day 5, a breakthrough, Mom recalled a hidden journal in her old e-reader, stashed in the attic of their Gary home. Lisa posed as a welfare checker. Retrieved it during Victor's work hours. Dylan hovered, sneering, but backed off when she mentioned subpoenas. The entries were devastating. Victor yelled for burning dinner, grabbed my arm. Left marks. Says I'm useless. Dylan smashed my vase by accident, laughed while I cleaned. Tried calling Emily. Victor deleted her number. Said she's toxic. Dated photos of bruises. 2. Karen's eyes lit. This is gold, contemporaneous proof. We filed for an emergency restraining order and POA revocation. Victor countered with lawsuits, claiming I was brainwashing her for inheritance. His witnesses, cronies swearing Mom was forgetful. But our investigator, A retired cop named Tom uncovered more, Victor's two ex-wives. Both confused before mysterious deaths. Assets funneled away. Serial predator, Tom said. The hearing loomed. Tension coiling like a spring. Victor's voicemails turned venomous. You'll rot in jail. Laura. Emily's dragging you down. We played them for Karen. He's unraveling. Mom grew bolder in prep. I want my voice back. He stole 5 years, I'll take his freedom. The courtroom in downtown Chicago buzzed with suppressed drama. Victor's side packed with his slick associates. Dr. Ellis nodding smugly. Our bench, Karen. Lisa. Tom. And Mom's old friend Betty. Who'd driven from the suburbs. Judge Harlan Reed presided. Stern and impartial. Victor's attorney, a shark from a high-rise firm, opened a sad case of estrangement, MS. Carter manipulating her declining mother against a devoted husband. They paraded evidence, the POA. Dr. Ellis's diagnosis after a 15-minute chat. On cross. Karen shredded him, no tests? Just Victor's word? And your shared yacht club membership. Ellis squirmed. Then Mom testified. Voice steady despite trembling hands. He isolated me. Stole my savings, $300K from my pension alone. That night, he dumped me to freeze. Planning to commit me. Victor's lawyer grilled her. You're confused. Aren't you? Dependent. No, she fired back. Terrified. But not anymore. The diary entries read aloud hushed the room. Victor's outbursts cracked his mask. Lies. She's fabricating. Dylan sneered from his seat. Judge Reed banged the gavel. Order. Our closing. Financial trails showing embezzlement. Witness inconsistencies. Abuse patterns. Victor lunged post-recess. You were nothing without me. Bailiffs restrained him as Mom stood tall. I was everything before you. The ruling, POA voided. Guardianship to me. Accounts frozen. Criminal probe launched. Victor raged. Earning cuffs, Dylan shoved a bailiff. Joining him. Outside. Mom breathed free air. It's done. But threats lingered. A prison letter. You'll pay. We traced it. Adding charges. Months later. Victor got 20 years for fraud and attempted manslaughter. Dylan. 7 for aiding. Mom reclaimed her life, a cozy condo. Renewed friendships. Even a support group she led. The best revenge? Her laughter. Echoing unbound. As his empire dissolved in silence. The price? My trust shattered. But rebuilt stronger. Betrayal's scar runs deep. But so does justice.